This really kept me on my toes, and there's so much to talk about, but also so much to spoil. So I'm going to steer around that. But first, I have to know just about your relationship with sound. Obviously, sound is a big part of the horror DNA, but here I really took notice to how you use sound to color in what we can't see, but also to do transitions as well. Where did sound, for lack of a better word, hatch for you as a filmmaker, and how has it grown into such a useful tool for you as a storyteller?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking that because very few people ask about sound. So I'm very
Yeah.
happy about that question. And sound is always very important to me. Well, as a filmmaker, I'm kind of filmmaker that I like to tell the story through all the cinematic ways of telling it. And we had a wonderful sound designer, Carl Svensson from Norway. And so we started to discuss about the sound from very early on in before we had shot anything. And so we could kind of make decisions about how to tell scenes with the sound already kind of before the shoot.
Mm.
And then he also made a lot of kind of demo sounds for us for the editing, so we could use those in the edit. And the things that we discussed, for example, is the first of all the whole overall mood of the film and the style of this. For example, the family home. I really wanted that it's this kind of feeling of death all around it. And
Right, right.
the ways we kind of discussed it was that, for example, in Tinja's yard, there's never bird sounds anywhere. It's in a neighbor's yard there is, but in Tinja's yard, there's never birds singing, even though it's summer. And it's always a little bit too quiet. And the sounds in their house, they are it's kind of very quiet, but it's very kind of a little bit unpleasant cold air
Sure.
conditioning sounds that give you a kind of feeling of emptiness. And then about the monster, Carl did wonderful work with that, and the monster sounds, that was really a combination of a lot of different sounds, and there were many people making, including myself, making all the
Oh,
sounds for
wow.
the monster. And and then we also discussed, I'm kind of fan of using sound of breathings because I really wanted
Mm.
to have the girl's presence, so it's kind of her point of view all the time, so we hear her breathing a lot, so we are kind of close to her. We don't hear the breathings of other people, but we hear her breathing. And then we kind of in many scenes we kind of mix the girl breathing into the monster breathing, kind of letting the audience feel that who is actually experiencing these horror moments. Is it the monster or the girl? Or
Yeah, yeah.
okay, so I really wanted to play with all those kind of things.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you really articulated that quite well, because that's what I noticed is that I feel like the sound was a bit of like the tonal needle that kind of holds it all together. You touched on this a little bit, but how, when you were trying to figure out like what are the things that we wanted to enhance to contribute to that feeling of uncomfortability, how did you figure out like what was going to be that sound that you were going to focus on?
Yeah, the kind of the guideline for that was always that we follow Tinja. We always follow her and how she
Right.
feels. And like you mentioned, for example, at the gym, we'll kind of hear very closely kind of those
Yeah.
gymnastic sounds. And also that we Carl did one that was actually his idea to have this, that in the gym what we hear otherwise it's actually quite quiet, but we hear laughter of the other girls kind of telling us that it's not a bad sport. The other girls seem to enjoy it, but we don't really see them. They are somewhere far away, and she can't really be in connected with their kind of joining things together. And
Mhm.
so what we hear close to her is always kind of this kind of very physical unpleasant sounds of the gym. And so all those kind of things. And also in the music, I really wanted to kind of let the music and sound blend, in the sense that you don't really notice always what is music and what is sound. And so we had our sound designer Steinberg Svensson and Janne Storm. They did together the music. And for example, one thing that we searched for a long time, this kind of musical sound, was that I really wanted to have for the hatching and the egg and the creature. I wanted to have this very musical, very physical, dark, low sound, and we searched and searched for a long time until Janne Storm, the other composer, just I said to him, just grab the mic and do this into the mic, and he did that, and we started to call that a vomit sound because it sounds like like you're vomiting, and that kind of very low is kind of going on kind of every time you hear the monster. It's kind of a little bit there, so all those kind of little things we did.
Yeah, there's a musicality to it. So yeah, that relationship was really interesting. I spoke a little bit about the transitions, but obviously there's an art to that, and I really like to. I'm a very meticulous film watcher, so I really like to, especially when it's horror, and I notice all these sounds and everything. And as I mentioned, like they kind of allow an image to go from one to the other. And so the one that I really loved was you see the egg, the monster egg, but then you transition into the moment of an egg being cracked for breakfast.
Yeah.
So part of me, I'm just like, I'm laughing, but it's just such a real, like, genius moment. And so I'm just curious about the art of transitions for you and how much thought you put into that, and like and where it may have stemmed from.
Yeah, well, that is something I always like those kind of transitions, and they some of them were already written in the script, because also our screenwriter Ilya Rautsi, who wrote the script that we developed very closely together, he also kind of likes cool transitions, and then also in the edit with our editor Linda Hildmalm. So that particular kind of cut from the egg into the egg cracking is kind of, that was something I had already planned to have there, but that was really that was kind of her favorite. She kind of pointed it out all the time, but this is my favorite, and she really tuned it to make it kind of perfect rhythm for that. And yeah.
I love this concept of just like, if you look at the advertising with the family wearing the masks, like just that, I may be reading into it a little bit, but just like the idea of the masks we wear, because there's a certain way that the family lives their life, and obviously with the blog idea, there's the type of personalities that we present to the public. So with all that in mind, and like the development of ourselves and how we evolve as people, and sometimes we shed things and we have to just accept it. How did these themes and the commentary impact your own view of being your most authentic self and being content with it?
Yes, well, first of all, yeah, I really like what you said about these masks, and that was really something we were after in the whole style of the film, and so something when planning this film, what I was thinking about is that since this is about the people who try to keep up appearances in one way or another, so I really wanted to have the social media theme into it, because I know kind of for me, social media is kind of today's way of keeping up appearances and maybe to belong, kind of to kind of show yourself in the same way as others in social media. And for me personally, I'm not I don't really like to present my personal life in social media, but but I'm sure making this film and how it affected me is that I think this is the type of film that I really made, kind of trying to be as sincere as possible as a filmmaker, and it was very important to me that therefore that this film is so well received, because I really felt that I wanted to do something that it's not copied by some other film, but I really wanted to tell this story in the best possible way and in most kind of, I don't know, honest way. That's what I was aiming at.
The cinematic language of your film, there's particular shots that I really gravitated towards, and there was one where we see the hand coming out of the egg, but the shot is of her, Tinja, in the closet, and then we can see it in the background. So can you talk me through designing some of these specific moments, these reveals, and like kind of the art of the reveal?
Yeah, that was something it took I really, and we all used a lot of time for really planning these kind of shots with the monster, and especially the hatching, because it's kind of the key scene. And for me, it was very important to kind of not reveal everything. It kind of just to try to hide as much as possible, but also kind of use some of the most effective moments. And again, the guideline for me was that we are as much as possible with Tinja, her experiencing it. And that's why, for example, there are a couple of shots that she's in the closet and we see in the mirror image how the egg kind of cracks. And one reason also for that, why we see something in the mirror, and why I also wanted that in the mirror there is this kind of cut on the side that sometimes is in mirrors. And I really wanted to, so I wanted to have as much kind of distortions, I kind of, so it's as much kind of twisted feeling for the images as possible, and this kind of cut on the side of the mirror kind of cracks the shot in a way that we don't quite see what's going on. So it kind of has three meanings. First of all, that we see the girl and the monster, so it kind of combines them together in a way, and also that it kind of the way of shooting it kind of hides the monster a bit, so we keep the secret what it looks like, and also it gives kind of, I wanted to have this kind of basically cracked shots for it. So those kind of things I was thinking.
When it comes to the evolution of the monster, was there a particular phase that you felt was most satisfying to you as a storyteller? Because there's, I mean, that's part of the intrigue as you're watching the film, to see how they both grow, and then as the film progresses, we begin to see certain images that are horrifying in one moment, but then when they have like a very sweet, beautiful moment of being together, and I just kind of enjoyed that.
Well, first of all, in all the kind of stages of the creature, I really wanted to have, like you said, also the both kind of the scariness and horror, and also the kind of sweetness, maybe kind of them bonding, so that they always bond is very important. And kind of the way I think about it is that I think in this monster there's all her kind of fears and hidden, as she feels, bad emotions. And but I mean, it's also very important to face your emotions and be in contact with your emotions and be in contact with your sorrow as well. And all sorrow is not for just bad thing. So that's why it's important that there is this connection with the monster. And for me, maybe well, there is one when it has kind of a broken face. How should I describe it without giving a spoiler for the audience? But anyway, that was kind of something that was my favorite, since it's clearly scary. So there was this idea that some stages are scarier than others because they serve a different kind of purpose during the film. But maybe in the end, my favorite was the very first puppet creature, because it was the animatronic puppet, and I really got fond of it. It was so cute, and and it was such a big thing to make it, and we had wonderful animatronic designer Gustav Högen, who has done the Star Wars and Jurassic World and Prometheus, and I contacted him and got him on board, and he had this wonderful puppeteer team that were moving the puppet in the shootings, kind of 5 people around it. So there was really a long process to make it, and it really required a lot effort to put it on screen, and maybe that's why I grew to be very fond of that.
It was like ET through the lens of Dark Crystal or something. But
exactly.
Thank you so much for your time. I could sit here all day, but I appreciate it so much, and I look forward to where you go from here.
Yeah, thank you very much.